For the first time in 3 years after the COVID pandemic, the Plattsburgh State Art Museum has fully reopened to the public this summer. The Burke Gallery on campus is hosting a show by Joe Remillard, a painter and college professor from Georgia who grew up in the North Country. Many of his oil paintings are rooted in the Adirondacks, including his family's farm in Peru, New York. And for you, this is a homecoming of sorts.
Somewhat, yeah. It's fun to have all of my work together and, of course, to have my huge family be able to access it. And I, of course, have Tonya to thank for a lot of that. She's been instrumental in just making sure that this happened because, of course, she arrived and the pandemic hit and everything shut down. And so we were planning to do this last year and then that didn't work out. And so she said, we're going to do this year.
And Tonya, who Joe Remillard just mentioned, is Tonya Cribb, the director of the Plattsburgh State Art Museum, and she joins us now. Welcome, it is good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Joe's Adirondack Visions exhibit is running for the next month until August 5th. Many of his paintings focus on his life on the farm and his roots in the Adirondacks.
That's right. When I met Joe, I was very interested in this body of work because it was perfect for our community. And it illustrated not only the beauty of the Adirondacks and the North Country, but it does give insight to the agricultural community here.
You actually wanted to host Joe a couple of years ago before COVID, but COVID changed all that.
It did, yes. I would have planned to have this show in the summer of 2020, and because of COVID, we were not able to do that, and so we had to delay, and this is the third year, and I did not want to delay it any further, and I was thrilled to be able to invite him this summer.
So you're back, and you had a great turnout for the reception for the beginning of Joe's show. We know half of them were his family.
Yeah, yes.
That's how big his family is, but really, in all seriousness, that was a great reception, a great turnout.
It was really fantastic. It was exactly what I had hoped for, but also we're getting more and more people from the community because they're excited about seeing the locations that are included in the show.
One of Joe's oil paintings is of a farm well known in the Adirondacks, certainly Asgard Farm in Ausable Forks, which of course was home to painter Rockwell Kent, who Joe says was one of his inspirations, a great American painter. His painting of Asgard is an homage to Kent, really, who he has long admired. Of course, SUNY Plattsburgh has the largest collection of Kent's works.
Yes, we do.
From his paintings to his prints to his illustrations, an incredible number of Rockwell Kent's works.
Absolutely.
Many of them aren't on display at the Rockwell Kent Gallery on the SUNY Plattsburgh campus. Are you looking to display more of Kent's works?
We absolutely are. We did display some works during the Dennis Defabaugh show in the spring, but we have invited Scott Ferris, who is a scholar for Rockwell Kent, to come in and curate a show for the upcoming academic year. So that will be something new that you'll see in the Rockwell Kent Gallery. And we hope to be able to bring some of the things that are in storage out for the community to see.
And are you working more with faculty and encouraging them to incorporate Rockwell Kent into their coursework?
This academic year, we had some of the faculty. One of our faculty members from the Environmental Studies program brought her freshman students in to explore the Rockwell Kent Gallery. They were looking at laws about conservation and environmental laws, and it was a really great way to incorporate the collection with academic work.
Of course, with Kent, there is so much to study beyond his artwork. I mean, his
So much.
travels, his incredible voyages, his political views, and so with Kent, it's so much more than simply his fantastic artwork.
Yeah, absolutely. I have ideas that I would love to have a printmaking show of Rockwell Kent because we have not only the prints themselves, but we have some of the lithographed stones and we have some of the engraved and wood-carved pieces that we could display with those works. And then, of course, there's a number of his photographic materials that would be also interesting to share with the community going forward.
As you mentioned, when Dennis Defebaugh showed his exhibit, his photographs, he retraced Rockwell Kent's journey to Greenland and went back, almost a century later. And that was a fantastic exhibit that you had this past late winter and into early spring. And part of that was showing some of these amazing glass slides of Rockwell Kent's photography from that trip.
Right, yeah, those are called lantern slides, and Rockwell Kent meant them as biographical. They weren't considered art pieces, but he would take them, and the lantern slide itself was much like your early PowerPoint. So he would bring the slides to share with the community and the public about his adventures and his voyages, and sometimes use that to raise funds for his next adventure.
You also hosted a couple of virtual events this spring with artists and scholars who have studied Kent's travels to Greenland and his interactions with the indigenous people who live there.
It was fantastic. Yeah, we had Jetta Rygard from Greenland and Susan Van Eck, and they talked about gender and sexuality in Rockwell Kent's Greenland materials. And we also had Eric Torm come and talk about Rockwell Kent's relationship with Knud Rasmussen. They actually came to campus. They were here in person, but we did record their lectures, and so they're still available. If anyone would like to see them, they can go online and look at the museum web pages to see those talks.
And two of Rockwell Kent's granddaughters, who live in Massachusetts and Vermont, attended one of the events and seemed quite appreciative of how you and the college are looking to broaden the studies into their grandfather's life and his works and his relationships with fellow artists and with people.
Rockwell Kent was a great artist and an amazing adventurer, and to have that brought back into kind of more of a modern concept, or I think is really fabulous.
We need to renew the interest in a sense. I feel like it's faded from the younger generation. I don't think it's been exposed to his art much at all, and this seems a great way to connect that, like Bay said.
This is something that I would really like to do. This is an incredible collection, and I think it needs to be celebrated and explored. And as you mentioned, there's so much material that scholars could look at and to expand knowledge about his work. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun going forward, and we hope to be able to do more of those things. It was sort of a mini symposium, a way to sort of restart and reinvigorate interest in the collection, and we would like to expand that in the future. There are a lot of Kent scholars that would like to participate and that are doing current research and that they'd like to share with us, so I'm hopeful that we'll be able to do more of that.
Tonya, thank you very much for taking the time to be with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.